Principles for Successful Living.
The power of positive thinking explains the necessity of having faith in ourselves and in our Creator that the right things will happen for us. Since what we think about is what occurs, when we expect the worst, that's exactly what we'll get. Dr. Peel explains it this way.
Now, negative thinking is a very dangerous thing. The negative thinker constantly sends out into the world around him negative thoughts, and he activates the world around him negatively. There is a law known as the law of attraction. Like attracts like. So if you constantly send out negative thoughts, in the very nature of the case, you tend to bring back to yourself negative results. On the contrary, the positive thinker sends out positive thoughts, and he activates the world around him positively. And on the basis of the same law of attraction, tends to draw back to himself positive results.
Dr. Peel felt that everyone should change their mental attitudes from negative to positive and increase their creative new thoughts. To do this, you need to change your attitudes and your language. Think and say only hopeful things about your job, your health, your family, and your future. Be optimistic about everything. Restrain yourself from being negative, no matter how awful the situation. Associate most often with those friends who are positive and upbeat. First, do it for a day, then for a full week. Keep adding weeks until it becomes a positive habit for always. In addition, you have to pray and meditate in gratitude for the wonderful things you have been given, not the least of which is the ability to find the good in every situation. Never forget that faith is the taproot of positive thinking. It's up to you to keep your faith constant in every situation, and you'll be a winner.
Enthusiasm and optimism make the difference. Enthusiasm.
The power of enthusiasm comes from throwing away self-pity. Turn outward instead of focusing in on personal troubles. Truly enthusiastic people are positive thinkers who care about others in a selfless way. They're involved in the world around them. They're issue-oriented. They have consuming hobbies and interests. They don't worry about yesterday because they're too interested in what tomorrow's going to bring. Each day is a new adventure, and each problem is a challenge that can be met and overcome. The enthusiastic person gives off an energy that's contagious. When you use the power of enthusiasm in your daily life, you'll learn to give freely of yourself to others. It's then that you'll understand the parable of the loaves and fishes, because whatever you send out will come back to you, times 10. So only radiate positive, enthusiastic energy. There probably wasn't a more enthusiastic person on the planet than Norman Vincent Peale. He was the embodiment of what he preached. Here's how he suggested that you bring enthusiasm into your life.
Now, how then does one try enthusiasm on his life? It's just as simple as this. Cultivate the ability to love living. Love the people who live. Love the sky under which you live. Love all of the facets of living. Jesus taught that the person who loves becomes happy. The person who loves everything becomes enthusiastic, filled with the zest and the joy of life. It's just this simple. Now, this isn't a profound thing I'm saying to you. It's a simple thing. If you're not enthusiastic, begin today to cultivate the simplicity of loving living.
Enthusiasm and optimism make the difference. Optimism.
The power of optimism calls on us to look for the good in a bad situation. Dr. Peel called it creative positive expectation, because you have to expect that something wonderful is going to come out of a situation that appears less than perfect. In fact, he felt so strongly about this that he thought it should be part of the education curriculum in every school in the country.
Creative, positive expectation. Now, if we could just teach people that. If you could be taught that in the schools, for example. If the schools of this country would teach children to look for the best, and that they could accomplish the best, they could be the best, we'd have the greatest country in the history of mankind. We've already got it by muddling through.
To become an optimist who practices creative positive expectation, you need to put your faith in a higher power so that you have no doubt you can work miracles. Then reach out to your friends and family and point out all the important contributions they make. Value and validate them. Celebrate their successes and minimize their failures. And do the same with your own. Replace gossip with happier, more uplifting subjects. Don't allow yourself to become depressed or discouraged. That way you'll become an optimist who's too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble.
Dream and make it happen. Goals.
The power of goals is the power to turn your dreams into realities. There's nothing more important in the process of getting where you're going than having a goal to strive for. Goals aren't wishes or dreams. They aren't described in terms of someday or maybe. Goals are firm decisions you make about what you want to have and when you want to have it. That decided, then you can make out a specific plan for how you're going to achieve it. And Dr. Peel believed firmly that you'll be able to achieve any goal you set.
I personally believe that any one of us can reach our goal in life. And the question is, how is that done? Well, from time immemorial, it has been said in America that the way you do that is to work, and work. And that is still valid. But beyond that, I'd like to suggest a triune methodology, that is, 3 other methods by which any person may attain his or her goal. And the first one is deep desire and intensity of belief. Number 2, creative thoughtsmanship. And the third is faith all the way.
Intensity of belief means that you have absolute conviction about what you want. You've got to be very specific and turn your goal into a concrete expectation instead of an indistinct suggestion. You should be able to see it in your mind as clearly as a photograph. Don't allow any soft focus. Decide exactly by what date you want this goal to be accomplished and believe in it without reservation. Then bring creative thoughtsmanship into play. Learn all you can about what you have to do to attain your goal and think about ways to do it. The ways you devise might not be the most obvious, but they may be the most effective. Don't reject any idea because it sounds too ridiculous. Look at the challenge from every side, and then bring the third element into play, faith. When you have faith, faith in yourself, and faith in a higher power, you're invincible.
Dream and make it happen. Imagination.
The power of imagination ties into the goal-achieving process. The ability to imagine gives you the impetus to see your life the way you want it to be. Unfortunately, too often we use imagination to contemplate the worst instead of the best. Since what we think about happens, the imaginative power of the mind can be an enormous power for good or evil. Dr. Peel warned about the danger of negative imagination.
But examine your own life. What are you now? And try to relate it with the way you've been contemplating yourself for the last 25 years. If you're sort of on top of things and life is good, it's got to mean that you've been thinking right for the last quarter of a century. But if it isn't all that good, then you just got to know that you've got the wrong mental picture.
If you want to strengthen your positive imagination, you need to focus your thinking. Practice recreating happy events and positive pictures in your mind. Don't allow any negatives to intrude. In any situation facing you, imagine what would happen if the best solution were reached. Don't allow yourself to dwell on worst-case scenarios. Another helpful technique when you want to strengthen your imagination is to set aside time out of every day to rethink, revisualize, and reimagine the things you want in life. You can make adjustments and fine-tune your plans along the way, but hang tight to your central idea. When you learn to imagine with complete clarity, then what you think about will become real.
Love life, and life will love you back. Love.
The power of love is one of the strongest powers we have. Dr. Peel felt that love and faith were the most important components of the positive thinker, and he urged us to always live by the love principle.
If you're going to be a successful person, you've got to live by the love principle. Now, of course, we've got a lot of wise, sophisticated people who downgrade love. The only way you get anywhere is by being slick, clever, wise guy, smart, super precocious. Well, now, when you call a roll of those who have really achieved, it's the people who were loving, kindly, who esteemed other people, who lived successfully.
To be a loving person, you have to turn your hatred and bitterness into loving thoughts and kind wishes. Take the word unless out of your vocabulary and learn to love without condition, letting everyone around you know that your love is limitless, without end, and without reservation. You also want to consciously work toward developing a mature concept of what love really is. Mature love is quite different from infatuation. When your love is mature, you're always ready to compromise and think of the other person first. You aren't hesitant about communicating your feelings. You trust the other person and wish for nothing but the best for them and are unshakable in your feelings. That's how Dr. Peel defined real love.
Love life, and life will love you back. Healthful living.